Although Urban Wrestling was this weekend, but Vinny just watches. And plus, we got to save the best for last. So that's going to be the plan for today. So that means we're going to start with Smackdown, which, believe it or not, I watched Smackdown this week, and I am pleased with my decision.
I liked this show a lot.
It was a good show.
This was a fun show. It opened with Johnny Ace in the ring.
Actually, I hated the first segment. But the rest of it was good.
Well, let's find out why. Johnny Ace was in the ring. Virtually the entire SmackDown roster was at ringside. Johnny Ace cut a very bad promo, which I believe they attempted to save with heavy editing and failed. He said Hunter wasn't there tonight, and that he had lost control of WWE, and he had fired Miz and Truth. Then he said he had changed his mind and Hunter did have control. And he said that he saw resolve and determination in Hunter's eyes, and we would all see that when Hunter arrived later. So he contradicted himself twice.
I said this a couple of times.
3 minutes.
I've said this a couple of times, but it deserves to be said again. Vince McMahon one day decided John Laurinaitis needed to be a non-speaking character. And this lasted all of 1 week before he changed his mind. But I guess in the week between, there was a video on WWE.com where John Laurinaitis took us through his illustrious career. This was awesome. It's so awesome that I just thought, John Laurinaitis needs to be on every show. Just being the vice president of talent relations, just a complete dork. I was wrong. John Laurinaitis is horrible. God bless the guy, but oh my God, he sucked the life out of the beginning of this show.
Yeah. Yes, it was very, very bad. So he brought out the World Heavyweight Champion, Mark Henry.
Mm-hmm.
I just get a kick out of saying that. Music's playing, he's got the belt over his shoulder, and he's lumbering down to the ring, and you know, all the whole damn roster's in his way. And so he stops, and he stares at them, and they all just clear a path. Even monsters like Brodus Clay and Great Khali, they want nothing to do with this man. Awesome. He gets in the ring. He shook Laurinaitis' hand, which I think is the first nice thing he's done in months. And he cut this great promo about how it took him 15 years to earn this title. It would be 15 more before anyone took it from him. He started calling out men who did not believe in him, men like Ezekiel Jackson and Teddy Long. And at this point, Hunter Hearst Helmsley arrived. Not 5 minutes after Johnny Ace said he would not be there.
I thought he said he'd be here later.
Something like that. But it begs the question, did he actually literally just walk in the door to the building?
Probably, yeah.
He actually showed up at 5:01 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So he came out there. He demanded the microphone from Henry. Henry refused to relinquish it for a while. We had a stare down of the two best beards in the company. And finally Henry gave him the mic, but was interrupted by Christian, who said he wanted one more match. He said he wanted that match to be at Hell in a Cell after you-know-who chokes in a match like he always does. Referring, of course, to Henry. And Hunter calmed him down and said he would give Christian the opportunity he wanted, and you get to do it in front of the entire roster because it would be a world title match, in a lumberjack match against Mark Henry tonight, with the winner facing Randy Orton at Hell in a Cell.
See, this is where
all that?
This is where I hated this whole thing here. Christian came out and he was all smarmy, and the thing he's been doing for weeks now is one more match. Mm-hmm. He did it at the pay-per-view and he got people chanting for it and this sort of thing. One more match. And he brings it up on Raw and he brings it up here on SmackDown. One more match. And I kept thinking, one more match with who? Orton? You want a match with the champion? Who the fuck do you want a match with? I eventually figured out he wanted a match with the champion. So then Hunter gives him his one more match with the champion on this show tonight, and he's sad.
Well, you see, he wanted it at the pay-per-view after the Cell match.
I see.
That was his goal. He wanted to face the winner of the Hell in a Cell match.
Did you realize that Mark Henry beat Randy Orton the last time they had a match, and so he'd have to face Mark Henry?
I guess not.
I thought this was stupid.
It was long and...
it was long, it was dumb.
It was elaborate.
Laurinaitis
sucked. It was like 5 segments mixed into one.
Christian was fine, except for the stuff that didn't make sense, and Mark Henry was great, because he's Mark Henry.
We had Sheamus versus Heath Slater in Ginger Warfare. Michael Cole called it Ronald McDonald versus the girl from Wendy's. That would be Wendy. They were having a good match, and then Sheamus did his comeback, and he had the bro kick, and he won.
Yeah.
no near falls, almost no changes in momentum, just a very simple match with one guy getting a dominant win.
And they made the point on commentary that Sheamus keeps winning.
Yes.
What a novel concept.
What a deal. Christian approached the Great Khali backstage in the winner of a segment. He explained to Khali that someday the Great Khali would get his own title match, and when that day came, would he rather face a big scary monster like Mark Henry, a man who had taken out Big Show and Kane, or a small but crafty guy like Christian? And Khali said nothing, so Christian got agitated. He asked if Khali understood any of this, and Khali held up his thumb and forefinger close together and said, "I understand, you are small."
Yeah.
Christian said, "Yes, everyone is small compared to you. Do we have a deal?" And Khali replied, "You're small."
Yeah.
So Christian left. This ruled.
It was pretty good.
This was great. Wade Barrett versus Justin Gabriel. Gabriel hit a bunch of dives early. He had a big flip tope. He had a cabrata back in the ring. Then Wade had cut him off with a kick, and he hit Wasteland, and he won.
Yeah. Gabriel is going up to the top for his 450, and he looks to the fans, and then he turns around into a boot, and then he's pinned.
Yes.
Like a complete idiot babyface. But hey, at least a man won a match clean.
And decisively.
Yes.
That's just as important. We had two matches here, and two cases where one man was definitively better than his opponent. Stryker asked Orton backstage, he was interviewing Randy Orton, he asked him, "Do you care to comment on your match with Cody Rhodes tonight?" And Orton replied, "No." "Then what the fuck are you doing here?" He started talking about the Hell matches, the Hell in a Cell match with Mark Henry. He said he would willingly go into Hell against Henry or Christian. Then when he came back, he was going to bring the world title with him. We then had a fantastic Michael Cole.
I got to talk about this
Booker
segment.
T moment.
I literally watched this back at least 20 times. So it's Booker T and Michael Cole and Josh Matthews all sitting at the desk. And Josh Matthews in the middle, and Michael Cole is on our right, and Booker is on our left, and we're looking at them. And Michael Cole decides he's going to be a real announcer for once. And he starts talking about how Hell in the Cell, this Hell in the Cell match with Randy Orton and Mark Henry, and how dangerous it is. And then he says, Randy Orton has been in 3 Hell in the Cell matches and won 2. Mark Henry has never been in a single one. And Booker T looked at him and said, "You know, you might be right." And Michael Cole had absolutely no idea how to respond to this. He just stared at Booker, completely deadpan. Then he looked at the camera and started to laugh. Booker T looked at Michael Cole and shrugged his shoulders. Michael Cole continued to laugh, and Josh took us to the next segment. Yeah. This was fucking awesome.
Yes.
I said this last week. Booker T is great. Booker T is awesome. He makes me laugh on every show. You know,
not like this.
You know, I didn't mention last week that's great about Booker T? Booker T reminds me of Mike Hogwood on the old ROH television show on HDNet. Mike Hogwood, he was like a wrestling fan, and he watched a little wrestling, but he wasn't really that good at his job, based on the fact that they never had him go live on pay-per-view. He had to be heavily produced. You know, they'd tape his stuff, and they'd retape things over and over, and they'd have to tell him what to say and feed him lines. But god damn, that guy was exuberant. That guy was so excited about professional wrestling. He was so angry when the heels did something bad, something dastardly. He was so happy when the babyfaces did something great. This is what we need in wrestling. I don't need guys bitching at each other and guys talking about anal bleeding and all this other bullshit. I just want a guy who's excited when good things happen. He's appalled when bad things happen. He's always excited. This is what I need, and this is what I get out of Booker T. Again, if Michael Cole and Josh Matthews suck at their job, I don't want people taking this out on Booker T. Booker T is there to be comic relief, and he's great at it. He is great at it. And he was great on this show, and there was another moment in the Sin Cara match where he was awesome, also awesome.
Oh, yes.
We'll get to that in a moment. Now, what the hell, we'll get to it right now. There's a Sin Cara. They're trying to figure out which Sin Cara is which. And the real Sin Cara is in the ring. And Booker T goes, "That's the real one. He's got a mark on his boot." And Josh calmly says, "Well, last week you said the imposter had a mark on his boot. And there's a pause, and Booker says, "Did I say that?" And Josh says, "Yes." And so Booker said, "Well, maybe they traded boots."
Yes.
I fucking died!
These two men who are having a violent feud involving stolen identity agree to swap gear in an attempt to fool Booker T.
Seriously, how can you hate Booker T?
He's agreed to swap boots.
I mean, to me, you have to be like such a... you have to be like a complete wrestling snob to hate Booker T. I mean, he's so fucking great.
He was great on this show.
He's not supposed to be any good at commentary. That's the role of the other two guys.
What Booker T is, and it occurred to me here in the first one where he said, Cole, you might be right, leading to 5 seconds of dead air. Booker T is not a commentator. He is, in fact, a troll.
Yes.
He is there to troll Michael Cole.
Great!
And it flipped on my head like a light switch.
Yes.
I'm looking at this the wrong way.
It's so awesome when Cole just recites a fact, and Booker's like, "You might be right." Oh, I died.
The first one, yeah.
I died.
Actually, I think the second one was even better, but the first one we had the advantage of the camera angle.
The second one was funny because he had a funny follow-up to his own stupidity.
Yes.
The first one was just awesome. Like, you could not in a million years have come up with a better response to Michael Cole's fact.
Cole, you might be right.
Oh, I wish I had a soundbite of that. All right. It wouldn't even be good if we had a soundbite because you got to look at Michael Cole's face.
You got to see Cole look at you because you're right. Cole looked at Booker seriously for at least 3 seconds.
Yes.
Just stared at him completely deadpan, and then just looked into the camera and just laughed.
Yeah.
He didn't roll his eyes. He didn't cover his mouth and giggle. No, he just laughed out loud.
Yes. Oh, this was great.
So after the "you might be right" comment, Christian attempted to recruit Zeke's help in the lumberjack match. Failed. AJ and Caitlyn wrestled Beth and Natalya. Announcers spent the entire match burying NXT. AJ hit a Shining Wizard during this match for what I think was the first 2 count of the entire show. And then Beth pinned her with the bitch clamp. Beth is a great big, strong woman. AJ weighs about 7 pounds. But AJ's timing on this was so bad, it still took Beth like 3 tries to get her up.
Yep.
She's green, you see.
Caitlyn's something else.
Easy in the eyes?
She's something else. Yeah.
Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. They showed Cody's cheap win over Randy on Raw when he hit him with a mask, and Henry was there for the distraction. So they're having this match, and Cody uses his mask as a weapon behind the ref's back, and this infuriates Orton, and he tears the mask off and clonks Cody with it for the DQ. And he kept attacking him. He got the mount and hit him in the face with the mask several times. He threw him outside, and he grabbed the ring bell, and he fucking glommed poor Cody Rhodes with it. It actually, as far as the violent collision, it looks much worse in the first angle than it did in the second. But for whatever reason, Randy chose to hit him not with the flat, broad wooden surface, but with the bell itself, which has a fucking sharp nut right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And he swung this thing across Cody's head. It sliced him open like a scalpel. When they showed this in a replay, you actually saw Cody fall back and blood squirted out of his head like if you took the ketchup packet at McDonald's and stomped on it, that's what it looked like. Just flowing.
It was disgusting.
It was, yeah. And
when I read about this, because we had people that watched Smackdown before it aired, they were like, man, they did a great job editing this together. And while I guess they did a great job taking out a lot of the blood,
taking out the entire segment,
you could not watch this without realizing that Cody Rhodes was a absolutely bloody head to toe mess of plasma.
Yeah. What happened was he hit him with the bell. Cody fell across the table. Then he fell to the floor. And then magically we skipped ahead probably 3 minutes. And Cody had a towel over his face. Orton grabbed him, pulled him out of the table. We never saw Cody's face. And Orton dropped him with an RKO on the table. And that's all we saw. And we suddenly saw that the back of Cody's head was covered in blood. There was blood running down Cody's thighs. And Orton had a bloody smear in his chest running down over his own legs. Mm-hmm. This was, quite a mess.
When they showed a replay of the RKO, you just got to look in the background and look at the expression on Josh Matthews' face. He cannot believe what he's seeing, and he's marking out because there's blood on WWE.
Hell yeah.
This is like the goddamn greatest angle of all time.
And they can't show it.
As far as even what they showed, Randy Orton snapped and he killed a man.
Pretty much.
He killed a man on live television. That is what this was here. And as far as getting Orton over, going into Hell in a Cell.
Going into the most dangerous match they have.
I don't know I'd have to go back and look at all the builds, but rarely have you seen a build to a Hell in a Cell match like this one. This man is a crazed, bloodthirsty, violent, psychopathic madman. That's what you got when this segment was over. Yeah. And he may try to kill Mark Henry.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, Mark Henry's real big and strong and scary.
And perhaps impervious to bells.
Yes.
Yes, I just felt awful for Cody Rhodes. Not that he got busted open like this, but that he got busted open like this, and almost none of it actually made TV.
Enough made TV.
I can't believe they didn't even throw up a plug saying, you can see the whole thing on our website. No, just, here's a guy, he got hit and he bled.
I thought this was awesome.
I thought the next segment was awesome. Christian tried to recruit Sheamus. He offered him a potato, by which I mean the tuber and not a stiff shot in the ring. Sheamus kind of rolled his eyes at this, but he said that he'd be there for Christian and he'd cherish this potato. And he said it like he was trying to make this geek happy just so he'd shut up and leave. So Christian accepted this and Christian left. And Sheamus rolled his eyes, because it's a potato and it was like an insult to think that just because he's Irish, he would be swooned by this potato. But then as soon as Christian left, he was actually excited to have the potato, and he took a big bite out of it. He took a bite out of a raw potato. Mm-hmm. Then he spat it out like Carlito used to do to apples, and he explained that this potato was not from Ireland. It was from Idaho. And he sounded disappointed and more than a little cheated.
That led to trouble later.
So what we went here from was, first, he had to pretend to be insulted that Christian was making a stereotypical joke or believing the stereotype that all Irish people love potatoes. And then he had to reveal, in fact, that the stereotype was true. And he did love potatoes. He loved them so much that he can distinguish from one bite an Irish potato from an Idaho potato. I loved this.
I can't believe you just spent 2 minutes talking about this damn potato.
This was awesome. This was a fantastic segment. Great Khali versus Jinder Mahal. Khali beat the fuck out of him, hit the tree slam, and pinned him with his foot on Mahal's chest in less than a minute.
It's in for him.
I would think so. And our string of decisive matches continues. We had real Sin Cara versus Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is smarter than the announcers. He knew this was the real deal, and he offered a sporting handshake. Here's where we got the comment about the black mark on Sin Cara's boots, suggesting that perhaps the fake and the real guy and the imposter had switched boots. So they fucked up some more stuff. I blame these stupid blue and yellow lights. They have to go. And then Sin Cara went up top. Fake Sin Cara ran down and shoved him to the floor. And then he climbed up himself and hit a flip senton on Bryan and he pinned him. So his plan, as I understand it, is to help his rival win more matches and make more money.
Well, maybe.
I assume that...
I don't know either.
I assume that this is a complete identity theft. And it goes beyond just wearing similar gear to the point he actually has Sin Cara's bank account numbers.
Well, they share boots.
I guess so. Christian was backstage, tried to recruit Randy Orton. Zack Ryder came out instead. Zack said he couldn't help him. He was the assistant GM. He had to remain unbiased. His cell phone rang. It was his own ring music. And Christian thought about knocking on Orton's door again, but thought better of it. We had Air Boom versus the Usos. Josh and Cole were now on to... They realized the Booker was the troll, and they were trolling him back, stealing all of his material, such as Shucky Ducky Quack Quack. Booker was muttering at them to knock it off. This was the first competitive match in the show. Usos got the heat on Evan. Kofi got a hot tag and ran wild. The Usos cut him off with a super kick for a near fall. He broke up a double team, tagged in Evan, and Evan hit the shooting star press for the pin. This is the way all wrestling shows should be. You have a bunch of squashes or virtual squashes. You have a moderately competitive semi-main like this, and then a good match to top it off and finish up strong. I can't believe I needed to spell it out that plainly in 2011, but there you go. So we had the main event, Mark Henry versus Christian in a lumberjack match. It was fine. They were both heels, and so the crowd was not into it a lot. They had to pipe in some noise. They did get into it whenever Christian would hit his sporadic flurries of offense. So then the best thing ever happened. Christian dodges. Henry tries to sit on him, and Christian dodges. So Henry lands in his ass, and he rolls to the floor. Then he grabs Christian, and he yanks him out to the floor after him. And then the lumberjacks swarm him being Mark Henry, and try to throw him back in the ring. And he kicks all their asses at the same time. He's shoving them down 4 and 5 at once. And he picks up Trent Beretta, presses him over his head, and uses him as a weapon to take out about a dozen men. And he's standing there alone amidst all these bodies. The only one left standing is Great Khali, A, because he's a giant, and B, because I don't think he can fall down without breaking something. The crowd's chanting Khali. This is just great. It cuts to Christian. He is watching this carnage in abject horror. He cannot believe what he has seen. He would rather walk through a hail of gunfire than get back into the ring with Mark Henry. He goes to leave up the ramp, but here comes Sheamus to cut him off. He grabs Christian, tosses him into the ring. In one motion, Henry scoops him up and hits the world's strongest slam for the pin. I thrust my fist in the air and shouted, "Woohoo!" This finish was awesome. This match was fun. This show was great. After all this, Orton ran down. He attacked Henry. Henry evaded an RKO, but he ate a dropkick. He rolled outside, and he just called it a day.
I enjoyed this show.
This was a tremendous television show.
This show gets 2 thumbs up.
Indeed.
All right.